today. It's a day in which we can use the facilities that we have within us, the faculties, to think clearly, to give our all to the clear thinking of the issues around us and what we are facing. And it is a day in which those attempts on our part to do just that continue to be thwarted and frustrated by extremely bizarre and weird and inexplicable forces. 888-589-8840. Kevin, what are you talking about? Oh, well, let me tell you. It's I can't explain this. Really? This is okay, we have to do this. Well, let me just put it this way. There was a man named Bradley who desired to sell out his country. So he indiscriminately turned over 750,000 sensitive military documents to the least discreet website on the planet called WikiLeaks. And this private first class, Bradley Manning, turned this stuff over and then got caught and then went to jail, to which there were a lot of odd people that claimed they're American citizens walking around going, "Free Bradley Manning, free Bradley Manning." So he gets caught. He goes to jail. They try him, and he's found guilty. And now he has to go to Leavenworth or wherever they send you when you're guilty of such things. And believe it or not, friend, that's not even the weirdest part of this story. Live today on the NBC show called Today, his attorney spoke.
To read, and this is part of it. As I transition into this next phase of my life, I want everyone to know the real me. I am Chelsea Manning. I am a female. Given the way that I feel and have felt since childhood, I want to begin hormone therapy as soon as possible. I also request that starting today, you refer to me by my new name and use the feminine pronoun. Why did she choose this moment to announce this?
Well, Chelsea didn't want to have this be something that overshadowed the case. Wanted to wait until the case was done to move forward to the next stage of her life.
She wants hormone therapy. Fort Leavenworth does not provide that. Are you going to sue to try to force the government to give her hormone therapy and perhaps the sex reassignment surgery?
Well, I don't know about the sex reassignment surgery. That Chelsea hasn't indicated that would be her desire. But as far as the hormone therapy, yes, I'm hoping Fort Leavenworth would do the right thing and provide that. If Fort Leavenworth does not, then I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that they are forced to do so.
If they do not, the attorney is going to do everything in his power to see to it that Fort Leavenworth gives Bradley Manning its new identity as something, pretending to be something other than what God made him. 888-589-8840. 888-589-8840. Now, what you have here is a man who sold out his country, indiscriminately turned over 750,000 documents to the least discreet website on the interwebs. They began to publish little goodies that they found and all of this stuff. Now, this little person wants to be called Chelsea, referred to as a she, and is hoping in the letter that he sent to the media that the supporters will rally around them, her, him, and do all that they can to see to it that they get their surgery, his, hers, whoever's, and he wants to, from now on, be referred to as Chelsea and use the pronouns she. And if the Army doesn't agree to pay for it, You just heard his attorney, her attorney, their attorney, its attorney. You do the hokey pokey attorney. And if the Army doesn't pay for it, the attorney's going to sue for the thing to be changed. Meaning that you and I, as taxpayers, somehow became responsible for the funding of the gender reassignment surgery, hormonal therapy, whatever the young man wants, her. We now are obligated to, in some way, come up with the resources to fund this, or he will, or the Army is, which we still pay for, or there will be a lawsuit in which they will be told you're not doing the right thing. Therefore, who knows, maybe even punitive damages will be added to that. I'm sorry, I gotta rewind and do this again. A young man serving in our military betrays his country, giving 750,000 documents of sensitive information to the least discriminate website on the interwebs, gets caught, goes to jail, is found guilty, now is insisting through the media that we refer to him no longer as a him but as a her. And the attorney says if Fort Leavenworth won't do, the military prison won't do whatever they asked him to do to pay for the the switching of the things, then he smiles. He smile, big smile. I'm a winsome guy because I'm smiling. But if you don't do what I'm going to do, I'm going to sue you. You will pay. If you don't give him the gender reassignment surgery, we will see to it that you pay. I'm sorry, friends. There are days I just wake up and wonder, where the heck am I? What happened to my country? Ugh. 888-589-88. He betrayed us. We didn't tell him to do that. He did that. He gave up the info. He got caught. He was found guilty. We have the right to put him in jail. We don't have any obligation to cater to something he thinks in his head. I think I want milk duds for the rest of my life for every meal. That doesn't mean the American people have to pay for them. Let's go to Texas and talk to Mark first on AFA Today. Hi, Mark.
Hey, listen, what I want to talk about, I just recently retired from the Army, and I served in information operations and public affairs. And I think what we're missing the point. What people don't understand, there was a quote that says, by dividing the people, we can get them to expend their energies in fighting over questions that are of no importance to us. And you're saying, well, what are you talking about? Well, this type of weirdness that we're seeing in society, that is the acceptance of gay marriage, transgenderism, that's illustrated in this case you're talking about, is nothing more than part of the old Soviet disinformation campaign that anyone can go on YouTube and you can watch a guy named Yuri Bezmenov. He was a Soviet disinformation officer who defected to Canada, and he produced 4 videos, and he talked about what their strategy was. And he said the strategy was to redefine morality within the target state. And Bezmenov talks about how they begin to redefine morality, similar to what George Orwell talked about, whereas you no longer have a rape, it's a sexual assault. You don't have venereal disease, you have a sexually transmitted disease. You're not a homosexual, you're gay. And he goes, once this immorality is institutionalized, he goes, it's easier to corrupt, blackmail, and subvert the society. Eventually the society becomes so selfish, so immoral, that it eventually just collapses. And this is the track that we're on. Now, again, you can go on YouTube and you can be schooled by one of the finest disinformation officers probably the West has ever produced. When I say West, I'm including, the Russian people and that. But, in the end, what he says is, he goes, in a sense, at the end of his 4-hour, 4 series of videos, he said, unless you return back to your Judeo-Christian concepts that built Western civilization, that Constantine actually kind of codified, he goes, your society will collapse. He goes, and that was the goal of it. He goes, throughout history, any society, either the Greeks or the Romans or the Aztecs, immorality will collapse it. Now, what you're doing is you're looking at the bark on the tree, and you can argue this insanity, but what is your plan? AFA's got a fantastic plan. You're informing, you're educating. But unless you go out and begin to develop organizations within communities that will actually go out and begin to fight this, when I say fight, I mean peacefully and rationally, you're not going to win. And this includes a larger effort. There's a lot of American foundations that finance this weirdness. And if you begin to follow the money trail, you're going to be surprised what you find. And you'll see this with reports, for example, in the music industry that's being perverted. I think Dr. Griffin is his name, that talks about how the hip-hop movement is being infiltrated by these front organizations to corrupt our youth. So the enemy that you're fighting, you've got to identify who that enemy is. And then when I say enemy, what well-financed organizations are financing, this subversion, and that's basically what it is. But I just want to say God bless your radio network for informing people. And this is absolutely ludicrous. A soldier is going to demand a sex change operation. Because he has a gender problem. What he has is a temptation problem, and he needs the Word of God to fight it, just like Christ fought, the devil when he was tempted. But that's no longer an option, I guess. But what you need to do is take it to the next level. Another fantastic book to read that most people in the intelligence community
All right,
read.
Mark, I let you go. I appreciate all the help, and we could sell lots of books here, but I gotta move on. we can't just give the whole show over to any single caller, and you got like 3 minutes there. 888-589-8840. The original discussion has to do with a traitor, a soldier, who released 750,000 documents indiscriminately to the least discerning website on the interwebs, who gets caught, who is thrown in prison, is found guilty, now says to the media, I don't want to be referred to as a him, and his attorney goes on our television networks here in this place, and says that he is going to sue Fort Leavenworth if the Army doesn't pay for the sex change operation. Now, to Mark's point, there may be people setting that up and paying for it and disseminating it and all the rest of it. But I'm totally down with activism, and anybody that listens to me knows that. The point being that even in the interview, you heard Savannah, what's her name, from the Today Show. She goes from calling him a him in the first part of the interview to immediately referring to Bradley as she and calling her Chelsea and calling her the rest of the way. So does the attorney. It was all planned. The 2 minutes of what he did and over here, and then, oh, by the way, Bradley wanted me to read this statement to you, and then they read it, and then immediately, boom, well, she believes this, and she feels that, and hers this. Friends, it doesn't matter what Bradley Manning has done. It doesn't matter what he does to his body. Doesn't matter how many hormones he pumps full. You cut his bone, you cut his skin, you cut his hair. The day that he dies, the DNA is stamped. He is male. God made him that way, and that can never be undone. Changing out parts doesn't make you a different person. But he's going to threaten to sue you to make you pay for the surgery if you don't agree. Kevin McCullough coming back on AFA Today. One phone line open, 888-589-8840.